Hello, this is Jim from Augusto Digital. Today I'm going to talk about workflow rapid prototyping and how you can identify ROI. I'm going to talk about the value here of workflow automation and really solving a business challenge. We actually did something very similar for a customer, and here I'm actually using some of the pieces, but the challenge is a typical workflow would require somebody, in this case, they use some data on a monthly or a quarterly report. That data was processed or received manually by a user. They would go out weekly or monthly to a website, and I'll demonstrate the website here. In this particular case, it's a mortgage rates. They would go and grab this. It's the download report, actually from 1971, and it comes out every Thursday. And that report, let's go take a look. Freddie Mac, it's the mortgage report. It goes back, I think, to the 1970s. But what it does is it provides the 30-year fixed and the 15-year. So the value here was being able to, in their workflow, the user would download this information in Excel. They would open Excel. They'd make a decision. Have we done this recently? Did we forget? Is our data up to date? Is it complete? They would copy it manually, put it into a database. And if they missed a few weeks, they might have to go back and say, okay, how many weeks did I miss? I got to write a custom SQL statement. And then they would go run their jobs. We're taking a user away, probably a user in some cases that's a valuable team member, to do this manual activity. So the example of this prototyping was I quickly worked with them to identify the website. We just saw that and talk about what the workflow could be. So what you're seeing here is an N8N automation. I think I did this in a roughly 20. We set up a trigger schedule. We knew that this comes out every week on Thursday. So Thursdays at noon, and then we add a few minutes. So at about 12:15, this would run. We set a few variables. I think it's important. Once I learned that this tool called this website, we could have scraped it with a couple different tools and downloaded the Excel. But what we quick was that they provide an API. Quick research in that 20-minute time, there's an API. I signed up for an API key. And here's actually what that looks like. You send it some information about a start date and possibly an end date, and then the series you want. So let's go back to my demo here. I put in a couple variables of the start date that I want. We did 12, so this is from December of 25. I have an API key that's hidden here, and then I make an API request to the URL I talked about. I send it what mortgage I want. This happens to be the 30-year. And then lastly, I do the same thing for the 15-year. Now, there's definitely improvements to be made, but I wanted to show in a 20-minute time, we're proving that we can automate it. So I will do a trigger. We'll go call that information. I then take that information and compress it in a way that's useful, merge it together, and then we update, in this case, a table. And I'll show you that table. So let's go ahead and run this. The workflow triggers it. It calls the API, and it gets the data back. From there, we go ahead and we break it down. You can see here, I'm taking a date and then the mortgage rate. This is the 30-year rate, and it happens to be on December 4th. And then lastly, it brings those two together. It's using a left join. So now we have both the 30-year and the 15-year for each date. And then in our database, in search rows, it's, let's see, the 30-year rate, that, and it submits it with the created date time. So it's similar to what they have in that database as well. So you can see down here, it went from December 4th all the way to the 31st, right? So that's the last rates we've seen, and they'll come out this Thursday, actually. So what I would like to demonstrate, though, is if there was the opportunity for them to miss, we're going to go ahead and take rates from 2021, and we'll do 0101. And this will let them backfill the dates that they may have missed. In addition, pick up any corrections that might have happened. So let's go ahead and execute this. This one might take a little bit longer, right? Because going after information a little bit larger, you can see it finished. It added 261 rows. And so now we have this table being updated. If I scroll down, you can see here, I guess I'm only getting a few pages. Let's go further back. Here's data from 2022, and it's got the date ranges being plugged in. So the value here is using a tool like N8N or any other workflow tool. You have the ability to quickly demonstrate value on how to handle workflow. And in this case, we estimated just the work being done was probably 45 minutes per execution. So we can track that every time this runs weekly. Let's say it's 45 minutes of what a person used to do to make and run this job. So thank you for watching. Just a demonstration of what can be done with these tools.